In section 4 of module 2, the exercise set, again, they're asking us to classify each of the following statements as either true or false. A good concept reinforcement. So we'll raise it up and you will be assigned a number, and then true or false, and then why. We'll pause the tape at this time and give you a chance to read and answer. Okay, going on to what we have here. We only had 2 false, so all the others are true. Again, some good basic rules. When factoring any polynomial, it's always best to look for a common factor first. That makes your resulting trinomial usually smaller and easier to work. Whenever the sum of a negative number and a positive number is negative, the negative number has the greatest absolute value. Well, we had said that in an earlier lesson. Number 3, whenever the product of a pair is factored, of a factor is negative, the factors have the same sign. Well, we said in order for that to happen, as a little review, if we have 2 negatives, this will be a positive, the same sign. If we have 2 positives, that's going to be a positive, the same sign. So in order to get a negative, is what they're saying here, they have to be different signs. So that's why that's false. Now in looking at this, we have p plus q equals a negative 17, and a negative p and a negative q could equal 17. So whatever these values are hidden within the variable, they would each have to be, well, negative and positive in a sense. But here, in order for this to have been the opposite sign, then it would have given you an opposite sign. Here it's negative, here it's positive. This one's a little tricky. All right, number 5. To factor this, consider only pairs of positive factors of 60. And that is true because this middle term is positive and this third term is positive. Then you only consider positive factors. Now for this one, where the middle term is negative and the third term is negative, in order for that to occur, one has to be negative and one positive. So you do not have to consider both factors are negative, because that would make this term a positive. So again, sort of tricky here, but this one's a little easier. All right, number 7. If 1 is a 0 of a polynomial function, then x minus 1 is a factor of that polynomial. Now, this goes back to factoring and then equaling the factors to 0. So in order for this to be a positive 1, x minus 1 had to be one of the factors, because we said we take each factor, equal it to 0, and then transpose that. So here x is equal to 1. That's why that's true. If x minus 2 is a factor, then p, which is what our x value would be, would be a positive 2 for the same reason. So for instance, this would have been a x minus 2 here. And again, equaling that to 0, that would become a positive 2, which is what we have here. A little tricky, but interesting. All right, so let's take a look at some of these others while we have a few moments. And I'll give you some background on them. So for something like this, I would just put 2 sets of parentheses and go through the unfoiling of this. The same thing here. But for number 19 now, I see I have a common what in each term? A common 2 that I would factor out first. Then I would put this and work it. Here I could see I could factor out an a from this. So this is the common factor that we would take out first. Now here, what would I do? I'd have to put it in the standard form. X squared plus 14x plus 45 before I factored it. And again, we're unfoiling these. Here again, the same. Put it in standard form. Now here I would factor out a 3 first. Here I would reverse this and factor out a negative 1. That would make this term a positive x squared. This would be a negative x. And then this would be a negative 56. Now it's in standard form. I factored out a negative 1. I would keep my negative 1 out there and then factor that. And this is like a 7 and an 8, because the difference of these is 1, and my larger number is negative, so this will be a negative there, and this will be a positive. So that would be my answer. Here, the same thing. Here I would factor out first an x squared, then get my trinomial, and then undo the FOIL. Okay, so there's a lot of practice going on and possibilities here. And again, until you try it and do the practice in the QuizMes to earn your mastery, you'll need to do the practice.